Hello and welcome, Reds, to a latest edition of Molby On The Spot. Trev can't join us this evening. Trev, if you're watching or listening, mate, I hope you're okay. And Trev will be joining Jan next week, hopefully, as well. But I'm joined by the legendary midfielder, Jan Molby. How are we, mate?
Excellent, Jack. It's been yet another wonderful week, hasn't it? It's sort of nothing happens until it happens, does it? So the week before we played Leicester, and they were relegated without being relegated, because you're not relegated as confirmed. It was the same last Sunday when we played Spurs. I think we've known for a few weeks we were going to win the Premier League, but you don't actually get that feeling till it's done, isn't it? So yeah, it was an incredible day at Anfield.
And we'll cover that as well, certainly, on tonight's episode. So if you're watching on the repeat or if you're watching live, do get your comments in. We'll go through some of them. I know it gets really busy in the comment section below anyway, but of course, Molby on the spot tonight. Obviously, it's been great content across the board on Anfield Index over the last couple of weeks, the whole season. Jan will know with Trev, and Molby on the spot's been going for a very long time anyway, 14 years. So thank you for all the great support, as always, Reds. Obviously, a Jonathan Northcroft interview. Obviously, Dave done this week as well, and a great interview by Dave again with, of course, Paul Joyce, both from the Times. So it was great insights. Jonathan Northcroft done a great piece on the transition of Jurgen Klopp to Arne Slot, and I'll certainly ask Jan about obviously his thoughts in that regard, and how much of a revelation Arne Slot has been in the dugout at Liverpool, and long may it continue. Jan, there's no better place to be, and we could probably speak for hours on end about the great celebrations, really. Pre-match was very special, Jan, wasn't it, in regards to, I think, the noise as we approach this game. It was always going to be extremely big. The 35-year wait of seeing, for a lot of Liverpool fans, I'm 30 anyway, but there's been a 35-year generation of Liverpool supporters from around the world that have not seen Liverpool actually get over the line at Anfield. And just, we do it our way, don't we? Yeah, it's the Liverpool way, and you certainly would have experienced that as a player, and especially now being a fan. It's what we thought, and obviously in terms of coming into the game, mate. How did you enjoy your celebrations?
Jack, I can't believe you weren't born when we won the league in 1990. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was strolling around in midfield wearing that number famous 7. When the King didn't play often, I got the pleasure of wearing that number. Anyway, so last Sunday against Spurs, it was a bit low key for me, actually. I was in Denmark on a Thursday. I attended a dart event on the Friday back in Liverpool. On a Saturday was my grandson's birthday. And then all of a sudden, Sunday was there. And I got to Anfield. I hadn't even given any thought as such. But as soon as you got anywhere near Anfield, it was like, wow, what's going on here? It was just unreal. You obviously expected something, isn't it? And I'm talking about me getting to the ground 3.5, 4 hours before the game. And you were just met by noise. You were met by red shirts everywhere. It was just incredible. And I thought, wow, we managed to get ourselves up to the stadium inside to the media lounge, and everybody was already in place. I remember the fella on the gate as we walked into the media lounge. He said, it's 3.5 hours before the game. We've had 248 media guys inside already. Just to give you an idea of, everybody was there. So yeah, it was absolutely quite incredible. And then you have all the former players who'd never played for Liverpool. We were there covering, working for whoever they're working for, isn't it? They're all asking, Arne, what's this like? I said, well, obviously the difference is that when we played, we never saw the scenes outside as such. And I said, but I think it's fair to say I've never seen anything like it. It was quite remarkable. And of course, that carried on right the way through. And our manager stayed. I think I stayed 45 minutes, an hour after, in my position on the gantry, being able to. I mean, obviously, great position, great view, being able to see it all, isn't it? Yeah, it was spectacular, absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, you would have played in many of the great atmospheres as a player. How does that rank in terms of, obviously, a lot of people coming out the ground, people that went the game, even me doing a watch along anyway? Was that, obviously watching as a fan, in the gantry. Was that one of the biggest atmospheres that you've ever experienced? Of course, the Barcelona night as well. Legendary game against Chelsea in the semi-finals against Jose Mourinho with Rafa. Where does that rank for you in regards to the afternoon? Of course, it's going to be a lot more noisy in a couple of weeks when we lift the trophy anyway, but how does that rank?
So I thought it's probably one of the best atmosphere I've ever experienced at Anfield. But and don't take it the wrong way, but it, as such, it wasn't a football atmosphere, was it? It was a celebration atmosphere.
Yeah.
So when you play Chelsea, with arguably is the best atmosphere I've ever experienced at Anfield in 2005. Barcelona, even the Borussia Dortmund game, you have jeopardy, don't you? The game's on a knife edge, so there's a different atmosphere. Whereas on Sunday, even when we went, and I actually think going 1-0 down helped the game. Because then we just had to open up and go for it. So it was almost like a pouring out of relief, wasn't it? But I have to say, in terms of the noise was incredible. And strangely enough, Tuesday morning, I spoke to my next door neighbour, and he said, "I've been to doctors with my ears." He said, after Anfield on Sunday, he said, "I've never heard noise like it." So it was that kind of happy, non-stop noise, because people by then knew, didn't they? It's done and dusted, isn't it? So there is different type of football atmosphere when the game, this jeopardy, and it's on a knife edge and whatever. It wasn't quite like that on Sunday, but the noise was definite, and the atmosphere before the game. Very rarely you see Anfield sort of building up towards kickoff as early as they did on Sunday, and then of course it was only natural that people would stay at the end and join in the celebrations. But there's going to be plenty more. Well, there's going to be a couple more occasions where you can join in. Celebrating the title of the Arsenal game, and of course we've got the trophy lift, and I believe we've also got a parade going on, Jack, haven't we?
Yeah, just a little one anyway, just a little one. Sure, everyone watching or listening will be descending on Merseyside on the bank holiday Monday as well. But yeah, I think I've seen somewhere today on X, in terms of a post or social media post from someone, 1.7 on the Richter scale in terms of the sheer magnitude, and which is phenomenal. But we know, as you said, Jan, that was a special night against Chelsea. Listening and watching all the documentaries, and everyone spoke about that night quite famously anyway, in regards to that one as well. So it's going to be interesting in that regard, mate. But yeah, special time, and what a time to very much be a Red, mate. And just touching on obviously the game as well. I think that the game very much did get not forgotten, but I think it was a very special game. I think McAllister's goal, I think obviously on my watch along, it was Macca's first, I think, a strike of that nature to get it over the line. Yeah, but what was your analysis in regards to obviously the game on Sunday, mate?
So obviously, let's deal with the fact that we played Tottenham in the game. We had to win the title. I don't think he could have picked a better opposition because of the way Tottenham play. They have no defensive structure as such. They don't play with a low block or a mid block. They just play, which was always going to be ideal. And when I said before, it was almost ideal to go 1-0 down, because you knew they would just keep coming. We just had to find our form, and then we'd run all over them. And they just couldn't cope with what we were doing. Spurs will point to the fact that they left quite a few of their key players out. I was actually surprised. I thought they might have got a bit stronger because, well, it's all very good wanting to save players.
Bit of consistency, maybe. I thought maybe a bit of consistency.
You have to find a bit of form, don't you? So their players are back from injury, and most of them are not playing well. And they've got 2, possibly 3 games to save the season in the Europa League, because then, just like Manchester United is, they've actually got a bit of a backdoor entrance, possibly into the Champions League, haven't they, if they should win the Europa League. But in the end, 5-1, flat at Spurs. There's no doubt about that. I believe the biggest home win against Spurs was back in the 70s when the team beat them 7-0. Had we needed 7 goals on Sunday, we'd have scored 7. So it was pretty much McAllister, I mean, what a great strike that was with his left foot. We don't see many goals anymore from outside the box, but it was a great strike. Took the roof off, but so did everything else. It was just, as I said before, it was just one of those celebratory atmospheres.
Yeah, obviously, if anyone's been living under a rock anyway, obviously it was that Luis Diaz 16 on the 16th minute anyway, McAllister 24th, Gakpo, and of course Salah, and then Undogi. A lot of people that do play fantasy football, Jan, I think we're very disappointed that Salah didn't get a little toe on that. I think it was on the replay. He was telling the lads to be quiet, but I was like, no, it's too many cameras in the ground. You're not getting away with that, mate. Not quite Harry Kane anyway. Famously trying to claim a Tottenham goal all those years ago. But yeah, it's an interesting one, Tottenham, in it, Jan, in terms of you analyse them, and obviously perfect game. Really, I think Liverpool scored 15 goals past them already this season. They play into Liverpool's hands, high line, crazy football. And Postecoglou really, certain moments for me, I feel, doesn't really adapt in certain moments. A bit like similar in regards to Brendan Rodgers in terms of his management sometimes, but obviously you can still learn. And as Ange did say last season, I do always win a trophy in my second season, and he could be right as well. But Liverpool, mate, we'll speak a bit later on in regards to the next evolution of this Liverpool side. But we've just got to speak about the current quality on display, because I think one name for me is obviously Salah and Van Dijk do, of course, get quite a lot of the plaudits, and rightly so. They lead the team, but a lad that leads is international stage. Well, we know we've got lots of leaders from an international stage, but a certain Argentinian maestro at the heart of Liverpool's midfield, that for me is my favourite player this season in regards. But for many, he's been an absolute revelation since he's come to the Premier League from Brighton. But how have you analysed his game in terms, especially this season, and obviously just a little bit on obviously Sunday's game, because that just goes to show for me, I don't know how you feel, Jan, or anyone watching or listeners, that takes a lot of mentality to drag, because we've seen Liverpool over certain years under Jurgen Klopp where we haven't quite got over the line in big moments, but McAllister exudes quality. He's got his class. How good is he for you? He's got everything in his locker for me.
I mean, if we deal with the game on Sunday first, I just thought that he was like so keen and adamant to have a say. This is the day. So they're kind of the things that you remember, isn't it? If you remember back, this is the day that we won the league. Who scored the goal? People remember these things. In another 50 or 100 years, nobody would have been to that game that's still alive. So people would talk about who scored. So it looked like McAllister thought, I'm going to etch myself into the history of Liverpool Football Club here. On the day that we win the Premier League in front of a full house, people are never going to be able to forget me. So obviously with the goal, but he wanted more goals. If you looked at him in the second half, isn't he? He was maybe a little bit greedy on a couple of occasions, isn't he? But he went, I'm going to have a play here. But yeah, he is. We obviously spoke quite a bit about it in the last few days or so, about who's been the outstanding performers for Liverpool, and obviously Alisson when he's played.
Iman Keller played, I think, similar amounts of games, but Alisson at the back end of the moment, he's special.
You just know, don't you? And Van Dijk, right this moment in time, you couldn't imagine a Liverpool team without Van Dijk. And then you got Mo, and if anyone's in doubt of Mo, you look at his stats and his goal involvement is right up there. But in terms of my type of player, I'm a McAllister lover, that type of player. The people that play as much of the game inside the head as they do visually for people to see. Some players play in a way that it's easy for everyone to see what it is that they do. And I always use Jamie Carragher as an example. Everybody knew what Jamie did because it was all last-minute tackles and winning headers and slide tackles and whatever. Some of the things, and a lot of the things McAllister do, a lot of people don't notice. Because it's a chess game. He plays a chess game, doesn't he? He plays a chess game with the ball or a chess game without the ball. And he's very good at creating space for teammates, creating space for himself, creating a bit of time to play that pass. Add to that he's a tough little cookie.
He's taken some absolute volleyings this season. But it's part and parcel when you're a midfielder. But he's especially when he plays on an international stage. But he's, as you say, you were a tempo setter at the heart of Liverpool's midfield. You were someone that orchestrates Liverpool's attacks. under your, obviously won the league 3 times, so you know everything about it, mate, as well. But it's it's the main thing. I don't know.
It's important. It's important, Jack. It's important,
Yeah.
isn't it? I remember when and you mentioned Brendan Rodgers before, and this was at the time in the Premier League where we were talking about that type of a player, a deep line midfield player, and he signed Joe Allen from Swansea, and I remember what he said. Yeah, I remember what he said at the time. He said he's going to be my glue, he's going to be my tempo setter. He's going to dictate things in there. Unfortunate, Joe was maybe just a level below what was required to play for a team that was going to compete for the Premier League, isn't it? But McAllister is that in a different way, in that he isn't a deep line playing midfielder. He's more a number 8. He's a little bit further forward, but he's capable of playing all over the pitch. He's capable of taking the ball in tight spaces. He's capable of playing in between the lines. He's a super player. And the one thing he is, and he's obviously not been given a chance to prove that at Liverpool because of Mo Salah, but he's an unbelievable penalty taker, isn't it? I think he's took 9.
Yeah.
I think he's took 9 penalties in his Premier League career and scored all of them, isn't it? So yeah, he's just a very, very good player. Less and less people are now doubting him, isn't there? There was a few people saying, but nobody can doubt him and his ability this ability to do the right thing. We all
that's so difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But we all watch the game, don't we, Jack? And we shout and we scream and go, play it here, do this and do that, isn't it? And you just get the feeling that McAllister running at roughly 95% of great decisions. That's how good he is. He just makes the right decisions all the time.
Yeah, the pre-assists, the assists as well. They're so important as well. And we've seen obviously his emotion on the bench as well on obviously Liverpool TV's or long cut, which was made up. I think everyone has watched the whole 2.5 hours. We've certainly maybe a couple of Reds out there might put it on the work TVs or whatever. And your fellow Mancunian work colleagues or whatnot probably weren't best too pleased anyway. But we'll enjoy it. As Jan said before, it's a free week. It's a celebration for the next 4 weeks, and then obviously, you know what's coming, and especially for me, Jan. And this is probably what will tie into obviously the back end in terms of obviously how we very much build off this season as well. Just speaking about obviously the game as well, but in regards to Liverpool going forward, in terms of sorry, I've got a question here as well. In terms of the similarities as well in regards to the team you played in, is there any similarities in regards that you analyse and you see amongst the current crop of Liverpool's players in regards, or is it? I know it might be different in saying, but maybe in characteristics wise in certain individual players, or
I think it almost impossible to compare because the game has moved on in so many aspects. In terms of roles in the team, how you're viewed, what you're meant to do, in terms of all the technology that's crept into the game. But I do think to a certain extent, you can maybe compare this Liverpool team a little bit to the team that won it in 1990. Because I remember when we won the title in 1990 and media had written it was a bit underwhelming. And I thought, wow, we've just bounced back from losing the title with 7 seconds to go the following this previous season to Arsenal, coming on the back of the Hillsborough tragedy, and then going on to win the title by 9 points. And it's a bit like this Liverpool team, innit? We're going to win. Well, we won the title by 15 points because what happened for now, but by the time we won it, we were 15 points clear, weren't we? So this team falls a little bit into that category where some people are going, are they all that, isn't it? You know what I mean? You run up the numbers that this Liverpool team have ran up, isn't it? So maybe there's a little bit of similarity in that. Not everybody's convinced that, but I don't look back and go, I'm upset because people didn't think we were the greatest team in the world. I do think that the 3 teams that played in and won the league were all different. 85, 86 was a lot of new players, the likes of myself and Steve McMahon and Jim Beglin, the likes of Paul Walsh, Craig Johnson was a regular. And then the 87, 88 team was maybe one of the best teams Liverpool's ever had. And in 89, 90, we didn't know it, but it might have been the end of a lot of great players. But we knew how to get over the line, a bit like this team, get the games won. What's the game about? The game's about winning game. It's about winning, isn't it? Win your game. You'll be fine.
win-win at all costs, mate. So it's just this like it's always rival fans and try and downbeat your achievements like as fans anyway. But like it's all because at their expense really for their. It's an excuse making. I look at it in regards to other teams. It's like you're trying to find excuses. As we know, at the end of the day, whoever, as you and Trevor already spoke on countless occasions, whoever wins the league, come what the end of May, deserves it. Really, at the end of the day. In terms of the Arne Slot impact as well, Jan, in regards to very much his impact on this Liverpool side. I felt it was a very special moment. Again, it just goes to show the humility really of Arne, the first Dutch manager to win the Premier League as well. Obviously, it is chanting Jurgen Klopp's name as well. It was a passing of the guard come what the end of last season, but it's just a special football club. We do things our own way, but how good has he been for you? He's, for me, have been extremely taken aback by just how quickly he's taken to the reins at Liverpool. It's unprecedented. Obviously, Carlo Ancelotti and certain other managers in the Premier League have won it in their first season, but the style, the vigor, the everything about the way in which this Liverpool side is played. We spoke obviously before the pre-Paris Saint-Germain game, didn't we? The last pod I done with you, and it was one of them where Paris Saint-Germain already this week have showed how good they are, but Arne Slot with this Liverpool side, Jan, it's still levels to his game in terms of development in the team as well.
Yeah, I think there's every chance that the team under Arne Slot is going to improve. So will others. Others will try and bounce back and try and improve as well. I'm sure somebody will do a review of the season and put all the stats compared to what we used to do, compared to what we've done this season. So for a lot of people, it's a lot easier to see what the big differences is in terms of what we've done here. But I just think that there's a couple of things, isn't it? You know, and I think, and this sounds so simple, doesn't it? But the greatest gift a footballer has is player availability. You know, if you're a good player, great player, and you're always available, wow, what a bonus that is. So Arne Slot is a football manager, football coach who has his players available. His record shows that. Final at Liverpool, the players are available. And I also think this thing about, so when Jurgen Klopp was the manager, because of the energy and everything about, we loved winning 3, 4, 5s. That was what Klopp was about, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah. I think Arne Slot has gone to the players, listen, we scored 2 goals a game. Yeah. We're not going to draw or lose many, because I don't believe that many teams are capable of scoring twice against us. So if you look at the difference, Jack, and the difference is unbelievable. We have failed to score 2 or more goals in 5 Premier League games this season. Yeah. So that's Everton, twice against Forest, Crystal Palace, whatever. Arsenal have failed to score 2 or more on 15 occasions. What a massive difference that is.
All those draws as well.
It's a massive difference. Arsenal also have drawn 13 games. Yeah. They've led in 9 of those, can't hold on. I believe we have, and I don't quite know the number, but I believe we have 15 plus 1 goal wins this year. Yeah, 1 goal. We won by 1 goal, but we've held on. Arsenal couldn't hold on. We could. So somebody will be able to come up with the stats. What is it that we do when we're winning 2-1 with 15 minutes to go? How do we then deal with the game? And I think that's Arne's real strength, is that we're now winning 2-1. That'll do. You get no more points for winning 3-1 or 4-1. 2-1 is enough, or 2, whatever, 2-0, and we see the game out. So I'm sure somebody will go up with stats and go, Liverpool in the last 15, 20 minutes would have done something that would probably blow your mind.
Yeah, I think spot on there, mate. In terms of, I think you mentioned the availability being the best form of and that goes to, I think I was watching TV this week. I think they were the backgrounds lads that they've brought in as well, and ladies, in terms of bringing in the football and operations. We know financially Liverpool, some of the best financially commercial teams in the best commercial team in the world in terms of what we generate, but the lads and ladies in the back in terms of nutritionists, sports science, every department, it's no luck Liverpool have become one of the best great, best sides in European football over the last 10 years. We've got the best data analysis people as well in the game. I think we just poached a certain individual from Manchester City this season as well to add already to the data side. And I was reading a couple of articles, renowned as one of the best in the business as well. So yeah, to add to everyone at the club as well. But that's what's needed, Jan, and it to be, I think, one of the greatest teams. You just need to be bringing in the best in the business, but as you said, keeping the players fit most importantly. But I think that's one aspect in terms of substitutions for Arne as well. It's a massive facet of any manager's locker, really. I look and analyse. We mentioned Arsenal before with the sheer amounts of draws that they've had. But I've watched Arsenal sometimes, majority of the times this season, and it's playing Saka every single week. Lewis Skelly, I think they're going to run him into a brick wall at one point. The sheer amount of minutes, it's above expectation, really. He's going to eventually succumb to some injuries, as Saka already this season, Jan. But yeah, it's in terms of.
I also think a big thing, Jack, is that we haven't had to make many desperation substitutes. We haven't had to make many substitutions where we were losing 2-1 with 5 minutes to go, and we need 3 players on to change the game. A lot of substitutes have come on with us being in front, and they come on to be part of being able to control that result or hold on to that result. And just in terms of the backroom staff, and I do firmly believe that this is the benefit of having American owners, because I always think that it was one of the things overlooked in the British game was the importance of people, non-players. So I'm from mainland Europe. In mainland Europe, they've had director of football clubs for years that buys the players. I came to this country. It was left in the hands of Kenny Dalglish, Ronnie Moran, Tom Saunders, and whatever. When the game went global, you needed to improve that. You need the best in the business. And I think the American owners we have never denied a Liverpool manager the best in the business, whether that's a physio, whether that's a club doctor, whether that's a masseur, whether that's a dietitian, whether that's the people to analyse everything, whether that's the people to bring in the players. And I think that's very important. You get the best in the business.
Yeah, it's a great point you've raised there. And just quickly on, and that's where the title of Arne Slot has originated. Obviously, come in as a head coach, very against the modern. Not obviously outside of Europe, we know in Italy, a lot of other countries do it as well. But in England, it's more or less, as we know, Jurgen was a manager, and I do feel personally he was doing too much. Hence why I do feel he was absolutely knackered, because it's the weight and the expectation of managing Liverpool Football Club. Many of the managers have come into Liverpool and struggled, and it hasn't quite worked out. But the very special few that it has, then you've just been extremely the best in the business, really, Jan. But I found that. How do you feel in terms of being a head coach? Is there much differences between in the modern game a head coach compared to obviously Jurgen as a manager, really?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of difference, but I also think it takes the pressure off whoever's in charge, because, and I don't think the lines are drawn as clear as we think. So we have this idea that Arne Slot is the head coach, and we have Richard Hughes and all the boys that bring in the players, isn't it? But let's not kid ourselves. Of course, Arne Slot is part of that conversation. But I think with him being a head coach, and some people think he doesn't have the influence, he also protects him in a certain way. Yeah. So I think that's important for your manager, or the coach, because there's only so much you can do, isn't it? I always used to think that, back in the day, even when Kenny Dalglish was player manager, you know what I mean? And he's driving around watching players, and you think this is madness. This is absolutely madness, and there's enough to do with managing a team. And so when I played, and I hate always harping back, but when I played, you managed the team, you treated everybody the same, which we always led to believe was the strength of Liverpool Football Club. We treat everybody the same. We treat John Walker the same as we treat Sir Kenny Dalglish. But maybe that wasn't a strength, because today you're dealing with 25, 30 players, and you deal with everyone in their own way. I remember 10, 12 years ago when I spoke to the dietitian at Anfield, and we're talking about food and whatever, and she said, "But Jan, do you for 1 minute think that we serve them all the same breakfast?" She said, "We don't give the Brazilians the same as we give the British, and we don't give the Germans the same." He said, "So we cater to what they're used to. Everybody is treated as an individual. So as a football manager, as a head coach, you're not dealing with a group, you're dealing with individuals. Everybody has their own little quirks. in our day, if you turn up with anything, so I turned up from Ajax, and I was used to having massage before the game. I was used to having strappings, and I was used to warming up. That's what we did. So I came to Liverpool, no massage, strappings. Jan will consider that once you've been here for 10 years, and we never warmed up before a game. So they took that away from what I used to do. But they'd never do that today. If we sign a player tomorrow that comes in, it doesn't matter. He goes, this is what I do before the game. They would cater for that. So there's so much to do as a head coach to be able to keep. And you also got to keep everybody happy. You've got to keep everybody sort of involved, even the ones who technically aren't involved. You still got to involve in a way so you don't feel surplus to requirements. It's an incredibly difficult.
Yeah. And that's one of the best things about Liverpool, and I think as well, Reds, that the culture that we've instilled, obviously Shankly and obviously Bob Paisley in that era of football as well. Great footballing sides, Fagan, and the list is endless with great legendary managers, and especially obviously Gerard Houllier coming in the early 2000s, and in what he brought, as you alluded to, a lot of obviously him and Arsene Wenger bringing in from the continent, a lot of the different things we're seeing now in terms of different sports science and everything, and it's a different world now. And yeah, I'd love to. I think we'd all love to have a little bit of the brekkie at the AXA. Anyway, you've got absolutely everything. You got eggs and you got everything that you can say, or your milkshakes and everything. But as we know, they are the best of the best in football athletes as well. You need a nutritionist and everything anyway, certainly. But yeah, it's quickly, I won't rattle through all the comments as well, chat, but thank you everyone. If you are tuning in live or if you are watching on the repeat, do drop a like on the video as well. First time discovering Anfield Index, Jan and of course Trev host Molby on the Spot every single week as well. So please do get involved with Jan and Trev's and everyone's great content across all platforms as well. Please do. If you want to delve into a bit more as well, head over to AnfieldIndex.com as well. And we've got a champions range as well to very much celebrate Liverpool's 20th league title. If you head over to Etsy as well, search Anfield Index, you can get your hoodies, you get your mugs, you can get absolutely everything really. So, and it goes a long way in terms of supporting everything we do here from everyone as well. So yeah, definitely check that out, Reds, as well. Take your brand spanking 20th league title cup into work this weekend anyway, or whatever, if you want. But yeah, let's quickly rattle through some of these comments as well. Do apologise, chats. We'll flash it up on the screen anyway. We've got a bit to do to get through as well. 20th league title. Yeah, Arlie, happy days there, buds. Do you think quickly? Do you think big achievement? No, I don't think so. Did you see that, Jan? I
did. Yeah. The biggest problem I've got is that I think we saw on Tuesday. We knew ourselves, didn't we? How good PSG are. We saw that firsthand, and I think they. Having said that, the longer the game went, the more comfortable Arsenal got playing against PSG. But whether they got enough quality to, the way that PSG played at home against Liverpool and the way they played at home against Aston Villa, I just think it would be too much for Arsenal. So it's still very much in Liverpool's domain in that we still look going into next season the stronger squad. As I said before, everything will improve, but I guess so will we, isn't it? So it's looking good in it, but it's always a battle, isn't it? It's just, people go, I'll be winning the title with 4 games or whatever, but the effort that goes into winning the title mentally and physically and everything else. So it's a massive big achievement. However, I do believe that, and I don't know whether we actually wanted to be part of it or not, but this World Cup for clubs in America,
eventually,
the fact that we're not in that, I think might actually help us, isn't it? Because halfway through June to halfway through July, you're over there. You could earn yourself anything between 60 and 100 million. But I think that the break that the players are going to get will probably have a bigger benefit than having more money.
Yeah, it's and obviously I still can't get over how I know obviously it's a new incorporation of the tournaments and Liverpool didn't qualify, but
how do you have How do you have a tournament like that? You want to promote a football tournament, yeah?
Yeah.
And there is no Barcelona, there's no Manchester United, there's no Liverpool, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't go started. I'll be on here for an hour, but yeah. Anyway, it's crazy, mate. But we'll be eventually there next year or whenever the next host. Anyway, it's quickly. What your thoughts on obviously the Inter Barcelona game as well? Were you surprised by that game? I think 6 goals in that game. It was Yamal again stepping up, but I think tactically that was one of the most interesting. I expect it to be one of what it was last night. 2 very different certain moments in terms of tactically. Inzaghi's sides defensively haven't really conceded that much this season, but I think it was interesting the tactical battle that they went against each other, because the fact that Inter turned up to Barca and done what he done in terms of getting 3 goals, I think Inzaghi would be disappointed that they've conceded 3. But who do you anticipate going through on that game over the second leg as well?
So part of what I do is also covering the Champions League, and before the quarterfinals, I predicted I thought Inter might win it. I mean, going to Barcelona and getting a 3-0 draw is a great result. Having said that, if I was Inter, I wouldn't be comfortable because Barcelona is going to play in exactly the same way, whether they play home or away. And I just think, I don't know. Barcelona are vulnerable in a way that I don't expect top teams to be. You know, if you look, I mean,
you've got so much top talent.
Yeah, I know, but top teams are not vulnerable in the way that they are. They, for my liking, are too vulnerable. You know, I think there's been too many. I think there was a Celta Vigo game the other week when they won 4-3. There was an Atletico Madrid cup game that ended 4-4. They're too vulnerable in a way that I don't like. So as much as I enjoy watching them play, although I don't enjoy all of the antics, but I do have some great players, and everybody's on about Yamal, my personal favourite. We spoke of Alexis McAllister before, Pedri, who just runs around and totally controls everything that they do, isn't it? So I do like watching them play. It would be some final, PSG against Barcelona. 2 teams who want to do exactly the same thing. They want to play with the ball. They want to have high, intense, energetic press all over the pitch. It would be some final, but they have to get there first.
Yeah, long way to go, mate. Great insight as always, Jan. Thank you for that. It's let us know. It's gonna be an interesting one. Obviously, Arsenal. It's only one. It's difficult encounter. We've already alluded to the job in which they done over Liverpool a couple of months back anyway. But yeah, it's great to see, and let's hope Liverpool next season are in the Champions League semi-final. I've got a feeling we might be anyway. Certainly continue playing the way we have. But Jan, heading into obviously the game against Chelsea this weekend, a team that is very much had for me a good season. A lot of money spent in the transfer window, but that's no fault of the fans really. I think a bit more of the change of structure over the last couple of years as well. But how have you gauged Chelsea's season in regards to, and then coming into this game as well, Jan? I think it's obviously Cole Palmer. I look and analyse. He's had a difficult last 10, 15 games in the Premier League. I do think he's quite restricted in terms of the way he's been played in the last couple of weeks. And then when he's playing his fast flow and attacking football, we know obviously the management of Chelsea require there's such an emphasis on the structure in terms of individual players being exactly where it needs to be. But Chelsea, do you expect them to be a big challenge come Sunday, come what the weekend?
Yeah, of course, because they got everything to play for. We've got nothing to play for, and we do sometimes see what that does to teams. Although Liverpool they've had a full week to kind of prepare themselves, but I know what it's like in that situation. You won the title. The preparation before the games is you put your feet up and you're a bit more relaxed than what you normally are. In terms of Chelsea season, I find it really difficult. I was at the first game of the season when they lost 2-0 at home against Manchester City, and I was really disappointed. I thought they were timid. You know, I thought they didn't go toe-to-toe with Manchester City. And then they found form. You know, I guess around November, December, some people even suggested that they might be Liverpool's nearest challenger for the title, but they just didn't have enough in the end. It's still a relatively young, inexperienced squad, but I don't think the manager gets enough from the squad. Enzo Maresca has obviously a certain way he wants to play. He wants to be in control, dominate with the ball. But if you look at the game changers, I don't think he gets enough from them. He's got an awful lot of talent. That you mentioned Cole Palmer.
I love Lavia as well. I think he's done really well.
They got Madueke, they got Neto, and obviously got Nicholas Jackson. And I just don't think he gets enough from them. I think he concentrates on other things. So they should win the Conference League because of the other three teams that's left in the tournament. They should win that. But I think if they miss out on the top 5 and miss out on the Champions League, it would be a disappointment. And I think it'd almost be a disaster, because should Nottingham Forest sneak in instead, I think they'll be disappointed. So I think it's yet again one of those where I look at Chelsea and all the money they've spent, and I'm still thinking, I don't think they are. I'm not convinced by the goalkeeper. I still think they need another top-class centre-half. I still think they need, because they got the money, you need to be able to go out and buy somebody who guarantees you goals. So I still think they're some way off. It'd be interesting to see who's in charge on the first day of the new season.
Yeah, I still find it mad, don't we? Someone like you, in terms of like always Reds as well, and you analyse that Chelsea side, and you're like, oh, needs a bit more. I still feel the days of watching Chelsea with Drogba up front, even Zola, and prior to that period in time, Idiger Johnson, the great top forwards. But obviously Jackson's done well to an extent this season, but obviously his time in Spain with Villa, I think it was Villarreal anyway, under Unai Emery, it was he done well. I think already this season he give a lot of plaudits to Unai in an interview done this season. But yeah, I still feel that Chelsea, you need, if you're leading the line for Chelsea, or if Chelsea want to be back up competing, I think they certainly need a proper number 9. Well, there's not many out there at the moment. We spoke already in the past, Jan, on the last pod. Me and you done about obviously Gyökeres in terms of Isaac as well for Sweden, 2 Swedish forwards that are on plenty of teams' lists anyway. I think Victor Osimhen has been linked with Chelsea as well, and Liverpool. In terms of Liverpool going into this game, in terms of, I'd like to see Liverpool get at least a 90-point season. I know it's come at the end of the season if the lads do lose a couple of games along the way. I don't think it really matters to them, really. But I think in terms of going into the end of this season, but certainly laying the foundation blocks for next season for Arne Slot. I said in the watch along this week on Anfield Index, it's very much a case in point for me. I feel, don't know you feel, Jan, about Arne thinking already, and I think he mentioned it on his post-match on Anfield on Sunday, about he's already thinking. He's such an intelligent man, he's probably already 10 steps ahead of absolutely everyone. But I want to see for the next 4 games, and certainly on Sunday, a pattern of play, different ideas, a bit more of a spicing up really in terms of something so that we can very much aim to do into next season. I know everyone says, 3 games, but we know footballers, and certainly Arne Slot, won't be using the game on Sunday as a free hit really. How do you think he'll approach it?
I do think that he will approach it the way you say. I think we might see a little bit more high energy, high risk football than what we've done during the season. I think he's kind of gone. I think he'll go to the players and go, listen, we've been together now for a while. You know what I really want. But if you want to add a bit of spice, we won the league. Let's go out and enjoy ourselves. And so I do think that there'll be a little bit more room for, and then it's just whether you find the right tune on the day. So this can go either way. It can be one of them where your legs all of a sudden feel like lead and you can't be bothered, or you get a spring in your step. You got that monkey off your back, you won the title, let's enjoy ourselves. So it could go either way. Chelsea will also look at the game and think that they might be able to take the game away from Liverpool because it matters more to them. And if they can get a good start to the game, be energetic, be aggressive, be strong in the challenges, that they might just disencourage Liverpool. But I still think it's going to be. I'm not 100% convinced by Chelsea. I just think they've got a number of weaknesses, and they've got a number of players that they haven't quite. It saddens me to say, but people like Reece James, after all his injuries and whatever,
such a talented player, isn't he?
Yeah, isn't he? He's a fantastic player, Jack, isn't he? But it just looks like his body won't allow him to be the player that maybe he should have been.
Yeah, certainly miss talented players, but as we said with Maresca, big expectations for any manager coming into obviously I think period under Abramovich in terms of Chelsea, the changing of managers seemed like every 12 months, but it was a philosophy that worked at the football club. But now it's different. It's certainly different in regards to the hierarchy of the football club. I feel Chelsea, from a footballing standpoint, have taken too much of the football and people. We've spoke already on tonight's show about the best in the business, the best in the land at Liverpool in terms of every department and aspiring to have the best people. But I look at Petr Cech, the fact that he left the football club, he got Chelsea. He was Mr. Chelsea for a very long time between the sticks. But do you anticipate that to improve at Chelsea over the next 12 months? Or do you anticipate it to be another case of they go out in the summer and very much sign a couple of players and get 2 months, 3 months into next season, maybe might change the manager, especially if you have just looked there on the table, as he said, Chelsea 6th in the league table, but it's an absolute shootout between like 3rd to 7th, really, in regards to Villa, Chelsea, Forest, and Forest in 0-0 currently. If anyone's watching live, anyone watching on repeat, you know the score. But Forest 0-0 against Brentford, that's a big game for them as well. So, do you anticipate anything to change at Chelsea that in regards to the hierarchy, or do you think it'll be a case in point of their recruitment policy being exactly what it has been over the last couple of seasons, very much a scattergun approach to certain players?
You would like to think that would no longer be necessary. They've got no shortage of players, so they've got loads of players, and they're also in a situation now where they've seen the players long enough to make their mind up and go, we can run with them, we can't run with them, and then these are the positions where we need to strengthen. And if they need to bring in lesser players than in the previous 2 or 3 windows, then they should be able to maybe go for a bit more guaranteed quality. No doubt that every player they've signed, they thought they were going on to become the best player in the world. That doesn't always work out like that. So I can see that surely Todd Bowley and all the investors at the end of the season can't sit down and go, this is what we had in mind. You know, surely they had more in mind. They had more in terms of, I don't think they'll get in the Champions League because of the games they got remaining of the season. Yeah. So I think they'll sit down and go, this is not what we had in mind. We're not getting enough from the team. We're not buying well enough. We wasted too much money on certain players, isn't it? So I almost feel they'll have to do something, whatever that is, whether that's more players to add to what they've already got, or whether that's yet another change in terms of the guy in charge. But I just, Enzo Maresca, there's just something about him, Jack, that doesn't...
You need the right personality. It doesn't sit right.
It just doesn't make me feel that, you know, this is the guy. I mean, for the guy to take them where they were early on in the season, and I think they were only like 4 points of Liverpool. All right, fair enough if you can't go toe-to-toe with Liverpool, but you stay ahead of the rest of them. You stay ahead of the pack, you know. You stay in the mix, you know. I just felt they've totally fallen away. And for you to have a talent like Cole Palmer and not get more from him this season, I also think is a little bit of a defeat.
Yeah, I'd love him at Liverpool, but it'd be certainly very expensive anyway, so it's not going to happen anyway. And I know Chelsea as a club and neither he wouldn't allow him to go to Liverpool, a rival. But sadly, maybe if we win the lottery and we win about 3 league titles, then maybe that might sway his decision. But yeah, Jan, a little score prediction from you, Jan.
I mean, last week when we played Spurs, and I thought Spurs would go strong, and I thought it might have been a bit tighter. I also think that the importance is there for Chelsea, so they'll keep going. But we've also got a lot of talent, so I think yet again there's going to be goals, and I feel that I share the points. Chelsea 2, Liverpool 2.
Yeah, there we go. That's been Jan Molby taking you through Molby on the spot this evening. I've been Jack McIndoe. Do apologise, chat, if anyone was just tuning in. Who am I? I'm not Trev. I do apologise. Should have introduced my name. But if you're a regular on the channel, you know I've been around this season anyway. But Jan's been an absolute pleasure, bud. And thank you very much for, as always, taking the time out this evening. But firstly, everyone in the comments, do apologise. Thank you to everyone that has put your comments in. Apologies that we haven't gone through all of them, but as always, much appreciated. Anyone watching or certainly listening on Anfield Index this evening or throughout this week. Obviously, Jan, massive thank you. And certainly enjoy the celebrations, Jan. And I know in the next couple of weeks. And obviously, it's not too bad. And obviously,
it's a time to
yeah.
enjoy, Jack, isn't it? It's a time to
Yeah,
enjoy it.
exactly.
You know what I mean? As a football fan, you can't be expected to win trophies all the time. When you do, enjoy, because you don't know when the next one's is about to pop up.
Yeah, but that's been Jack McIndoe and Jan Molby. But Trev will be hopefully joining us, next week as well. So it'll be the usual duo. But if you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Do support Anfield Index across all social media platforms if you possibly can as well. If you're watching on X or Facebook, head over to YouTube. We are fastly approaching 10,000 subscribers, which has been absolutely fantastic. The great work by everyone on in the background as well. It's amazing. And thank you to everyone that has been watching or listening over the last 14 years. And if you just discovered Anfield Index for the first time, welcome and thank you. And make sure you do get involved. Plenty to get stuck into. If you want to become an Anfield Index Pro member, you can do. It's just as little as a coffee, and it opens up all great catalogue of LFC content. You can go back and listen to all the pods Jan and Trev have done over the years and get great insight as always. But Ed's, look after yourself. Enjoy your Thursday evening. Jan and Trev will be back next week as well. But all the best, Jan, and thank you.